Hello everyone. So today we'll be continuing with our JavaScript sessions, and in this session we will be learning about form validation. So form validation means we have to validate the value that has been entered by the user. We have to check whether the value entered by the user is correct or not. For that we have uh, already I've created a form for you. This form has name input, email input, and mobile number input. Name has to be in a text box with name as ID. Email is also there in text box, and mobile number is also there in the text box. If we run the program, if they run the web page, then this is how it is coming. And if you submit it, it is getting submitted even if you are not entering anything, even if someone enters invalid values, also it is getting submitted. So form validation means we have to stop the submit of the form if the value is not entered and the value is not valid, because ultimately these values have to be used later on. So it will be saved somewhere in the database, maybe for future use. So if the value is a garbage value, then keeping it in the database doesn't make any sense. That is why we do form validation, and for that we use JavaScript. So let us start with the code. This is the form that we have already discussed. This is a name input, input type text, then email input type text, and mobile number input type text. Here we have JavaScript where we'll be adding some JavaScript code. And we have a CSS file also with it. And if I link it with CSS, let us see how it looks. See how it is looking now. It is so beautiful. Why? Because we have used the style. If we use the style, then it becomes beautiful. We'll be discussing the style later on in detail. We have already discussed in the previous section some properties of this style. We'll be covering it in detail in the coming sessions as well. So if I don't write this, you can see how it will look. It is looking plain, and if it is that way, it is looking beautiful. So I'll not be using CSS. Let's concentrate on only JavaScript. Okay, so before we start, we want that name, email, and mobile number has to be entered by the user. So first thing that we can do is put a required. If we put a required, then what happens? If we do not enter a value, then it will not let you submit. So if you see now, if we don't enter value, suppose I enter value, required only ask the user to fill in the value. And if it is anything that is filled, then it will get submitted. So one checking can be very easily done with the help of required. So required I've already mentioned, but email should be having at the rate, and then it has to be correct value. Mobile number has to be numeric, and it has to be in 10 digits. So for that, we will be using JavaScript. But before we move on, I'll be using input type email. If I write input type email, then one checking is done that the email should be proper. And here, instead of text, I'll be putting numbers. So I'm not using JavaScript at the moment. Instead, I'm just using the properties of input type so that we can have some better results without using the code. Now see if I enter name like this, and if suppose I enter this, and here I cannot make input other than numbers, so I make it this way. And if I submit, then see it is asking that it has to be at the rate has to be entered. So I'll be putting at the rate. Let me submit. Then it is saying that still it is not complete. Let me see this way. And now it is getting submitted. So it only checks for at the rate. Maybe dot is also required. It is not checked uh, by default by the input type email. So I'll be using some more JavaScript code with it. And in mobile number, you can see if we can enter only 5 or 6 digits also, then it is getting submitted. So what all we have to do, we have to check whether the name has a value. There should be at least three alphabets. Then we have to check whether the mobile number is of 10 digits, and then we can come up with email. So one by one, we'll move on. I'll try to add some code here. Let's come to the JavaScript. Here comes JavaScript, and we'll write a function check values. This check values function will check all the 3 values. So it will check name, then it will also check. Let's concentrate on name and mobile for the moment, and then we'll move on with some more code. And here what we want is on submit. When this form is submit, we will be calling the check value function. The check values functions. This is to be called, and if this check value finds that either the name or the mobile number is not correct, then it will return false. And when the check values function will return false, then that means any one value or both the values are not correct. And if it returns true, then it means both the values are correct. So first of all, I'll be using the name checking to be done here. So name, you can see in the form, we have the IDU name. So I'll declare a variable with the username, and this will have the value document dot get element by ID, and the ID is uname, and this is the value that we want. So whatever value the user will enter in uname will be stored now in this variable username. And then we'll be using some more inputs to check. This is how we can check. Now I'll be checking if username or length is less than 4, that is less than equals to 3, I can say, then it will return false. That means name is not correct. Otherwise, it will return. And this check name function will be calling here. So, so check. So we'll check what is the answer of check name, and if the name is correct, the answer will be true. And here we'll check if answer 1 is equals to true, that means name is correct, then we will return true. Otherwise, we will return false. Now you can see that when the form is getting submitted, we are calling this check values function. In the check values function, we are first checking the name. So we'll go here and check whether the name has at least 3 letters in it. If it is 3 letters or more, then we'll return true. And if the answer for check name is true, that means check name is correct, then we'll return true and the form will be submitted. We are not checking the mobile at the moment. And now let us see how it is running. So if we try to submit, it will not, because we have used required. And now, okay, it is asking for some value. I'll be entering some value. And here, the form is not getting submitted. Why? Because the value of the name is not correct. But how will the user know that the value was not correct? That means we have to print it somewhere that you have to enter the correct value. So for that, what we can do is we can use a div. We have a div of errors here. And in this div, we'll mention that the name is not correct. So here, when we are sending false, then what we will do, we will access that div from here. And what is the ID of that div? It is errors. So I'll put errors. And in div, we use inner HTML property. And in inner HTML property, what we will do, we'll use font color is equals to red. And in that red color, we enter invalid or anything that you want. So whenever the name value is not correct, then it will check and it will let the user know that the value was not correct. So we are not concerned with email at the moment. We're not concerned with mobile. We're just concerned with this. See, it is invalid email. That means if we will enter this way, it will not let the form submit. Instead, it will say that name is not valid. And the smallest name that we know is Raj. Let me check. It is less than equals to 3. If it is less than equals to 3, then if it is less than 3, it should be. So if it is less than 3, then there will be error. For 3, it is considered to be correct. And suppose we write it this way, then it is error. And suppose we write it this way, then it will be submitted. Okay, so I'm giving you some time just to ponder on this code, how we have been using this check name function. And from the, you can see everything that we have used till now. When this form is getting submitted, we are calling the check values. Check values will in turn call check name. Name will be checked. If it is not correct, it will get message. If it is correct, it will be submitted. So please give 2 minutes on it, and then we'll start with further with mobile number checking. Okay, so I think you're getting it. Now we'll be checking the mobile number, and mobile number has to be of 10 letters, 10 digits at least. So I'll be using the same concept here. That will be check mobile number. And in check mobile number, we can see what is the ID of mobile number. It is mobile. So we'll be using mobile. So file is the variable where we'll get whatever the user enters, and if it is less than 10, if it is less than 10, then we will be printing font invalid mobile number. But what will happen if the name is also invalid and the mobile number is also invalid? Then what will happen? It will overwrite. I'll be using an error message here. In error message, what we will do first, we will take whatever is there already, the error that will be stored here, and then we write error message equals to error message, whatever is there previously, plus we will add this one. Font color red, invalid mobile number, and this we can use a break so that it comes in the next line. And here we will be printing error message. So error message, whatever is the previous error message, suppose invalid name. So we'll add invalid name plus invalid mobile number, and if it is previously, if it is empty, then this will be empty. So it will only print invalid mobile number, and then it will return false. Now, see, I'll try to explain it once more. It may happen that the user does not enter correct name and user does not enter correct mobile number. This is one case. Then in that case, we have to print both the messages. So first we have to take whatever was the previous error message. We'll store it in a variable. In that variable, we'll add one more message of invalid mobile number, and then we'll print it. And if previously the name was correct, then it will be empty. Whatever is highlighted, this will be empty. So error message will be empty string. And in that empty string, we'll add only invalid mobile. And here now we'll have another variable answer2, and this will use to check mobile number. So if the mobile number is correct, it comes true, otherwise it comes false. And if answer1 equals to true, or answer2 equals to true, either one has an error, then no. If both the answers are true, then it is true, otherwise it is false. That means if name is correct, then answer 1 is true, and mobile is correct, then answer 2 is true. So both the things are true, means there is no error, then it will return and form will be submitted. Let us see here. I write it this way, and mobile number. So the form got submitted. It should not have been submitted. That means there's some error. We'll be checking. Okay. So what is the error? Let's find out the error. Name is less than 3, error. False. This is false. Then we have Here it has to be user. It's just that thing. That was by mistake username. That is fine. So coming back, let's come back here. See now, valid name, invalid mobile number, form is not submitted. Now I correct the name. Then see it is the name has gone, but since we have used the previous message, so it has added it here. One more correction is required. Initially, the error message has to be empty. First, it has to be noted, and then it will add the errors. So that if the previous error was there, then it will be taken care of properly. Make this right. Okay. I want only this time invalid mobile number. This should not come. So whenever we are submitting check values, okay, the doing is each time this is called, we will first remove any previous error message. So what I've done here is I've made this variable global. Global means it can be accessed in any function. Local means this is a local variable. It can be used only in this function. This is a local variable. It can be used only in the function where it is declared. But this is declared at the top. That means it can be used in any of the function where it is required. So first I am removing the previous errors and then I'm trying to print it again. Let us see if it is happening as we intend to. And this is correct. Okay. Yes. Okay, so what we have to do is this thing has to be actually this has to be initialized. The previous error messages have to be empty. This is not what we're doing. Every time we click the check value, we want to submit, then this check values function will be called, and this should happen now. Let us try once more. This is right. Now, yes. Okay, you can see if both has error, then it will come this way. If only there is one error, then only one message will, because we have deleted that message when every time the forms is getting submitted. So this is how we can use functions to validate the values. This is the check name function, then check mobile function. All these functions are called here, and here we are checking. So in the coming session, we'll add some more functions, we'll add some more checkings in it, and we'll try to understand this. So for now, let's the Java validations in this way. Let us stop, and you will be trying to understand and then executing these programs. Thank you very much.